U.S. midterm elections get underway. Chinese insurer Ping An, now the largest shareholder of HSBC. And 4 injured in a suspicious fire in Changshui.
Good evening. Voting is now underway for midterm elections in the United States. Residents in New York headed to the polls early this morning. Early voting nationwide reveals 35 million people have already cast their ballots. That makes voter turnout in America the highest it's been in 50 years. That's because voters on both sides of the political divide consider today's election as being critical for the direction of the country.
Right now, Republicans control both chambers of Congress. To seize control of the House of Representatives, Democrats need a net increase of 23 seats. To win the Senate, Democrats only need to gain 2 seats, even though Republicans are favored to retain their majority. President Donald Trump is not on the ballot, but as he nears the midpoint of his White House term, political experts say this election is a referendum on his presidency.
Not only because of the polarizing effects of the 2016 election, but also everything that's happened in the 2 years since. I think most voters are going to the polls tomorrow thinking first and foremost about Trump.
And that's exactly why in Trump's final 3 campaign rallies, he reiterated his administration's accomplishments.
Thanks to our beautifully placed tariffs and very tough trade policies, America's steel and aluminum mills are roaring back to life like nobody has ever seen. This is the single best economy in the history of our great country. And it's the hottest jobs market on the planet Earth.
Polls suggest Democrats are favored to win the House. If they succeed, they'll gain control of committees and have the power to subpoena and investigate President Trump.
For Democrats, this is their chance to basically get it right after they lost in 2016 in really spectacular fashion. And there's a lot of energy behind Democrats. They have voter enthusiasm certainly on their side. They have this crop of new candidates, younger candidates.
Hoarse from days of campaigning, former President Barack Obama said for the following reasons, Democrats are voting in record numbers.
What I'm saying is this great awakening. People, I think, who had taken for granted that we had made certain strides, that, yeah, of course women are treated with respect. Of course we're not going to judge people based on their skin color, their last name. Of course we're going to expect basic decency and honesty. Suddenly people woke up and said, oh, I guess we can't take this for granted. We've got to fight for this.
Activists have called on the United Nations and member states to pressure China to account for alleged human rights violations. This, as China's human rights record will go on under scrutiny at a UN Human Rights Council meeting later today. It will be China's 3rd review since 2009 and the first since President Xi Jinping came to power in 2012. The spotlight is expected to focus on Beijing's treatment of ethnic minorities, especially Uyghurs and Tibetans. In August, a UN human rights panel accused China of holding up to 1 million ethnic Uyghurs in a secretive system of internment camps in Xinjiang to receive political education. Beijing says the facilities are vocational training centers aimed at bolstering economic growth and social mobility in the region.
China and Japan are among 8 countries granted a 6-month waiver from the U.S. to continue importing oil from Iran. The U.S. resumed sanctions on the Islamic Republic on Monday. Tehran is vowing to defy what it calls economic warfare. Jeff Tang reports.
As U.S. sanctions on Iran resumed on Monday, Major importers of Iranian oil are scrambling to buy their oil elsewhere. Reuters quoted sources as saying Washington has granted 8 countries a 6-month period to gradually wind down oil imports from Iran. They are China, Japan, India, South Korea, Taiwan, Italy, Greece and Turkey. The waiver comes with conditions, of course. They include full disclosure of counterparties and settlement methods. While Washington aims to eventually halt all global purchases of crude oil from Iran, US President Donald Trump said the temporary waiver is for the greater good.
I could get the Iran oil down to zero immediately, but it would cause a shock to the market. I don't want to lift oil prices.
Washington says the measures are part of a wider effort by the Trump administration to curb Tehran's missile and nuclear programs. It's also aiming to diminish the Islamic Republic's influence in the Middle East, notably its support for proxies in Syria, Yemen and Lebanon. The measures will cut off 50 Iranian banks and subsidiaries from doing business with foreign banks. The penalty for breaching those sanctions? Losing access to the US financial system. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani slammed the US for targeting the people of Iran and has vowed to fight the economic warfare by finding other ways to sell its oil. Crude exports contribute to 1/3 of Iran's government revenues.
The Iranian regime has a choice. It can either do a 180-degree turn from its outlaw course of action and act like a normal country, or it can see its economy crumble.
The White House also beat back criticisms that it is not doing enough to put pressure on Iran. The resumption of the sanctions was triggered by Trump's decision in May to ditch the 2015 Iran nuclear deal negotiated by the Obama administration. That agreement stripped many US and other economic sanctions on Iran in return for Tehran's commitment to scale back its nuclear program. Trump called it the worst ever negotiated by Washington. Jeff Tang, TVB News.
The fear of losing millions of dollars in American aid had the presidents of Central American countries discussing the migrant caravans. The presidents of Honduras and Guatemala met in the Honduran capital. That's where the Honduran president said migration is a human right, and if people can do it in a legal manner, then there's nothing wrong with it. Guatemala's president believes the migrants were provoked for political reasons. This comes as thousands of migrants continue to march towards the U.S. border. More than 2,000 are now resting at a stadium in Mexico City. Chinese firm Ping An Insurance is now the biggest shareholder of UK-based HSBC Holdings. A filing showed Ping An's stake in HSBC rose to more than 7% after a purchase last week. This is up from about 5% in December. The stake held by Ping An is valued at more than $90 billion. That's based on HSBC's closing price on Monday. The Financial Times earlier reported that Ma Mingze, the founder and chairman of Ping An, stressed that the company is focused on its domestic market. As of now, the company has no plans to make acquisitions overseas, Ma said.
At least 79 students and 3 teachers were kidnapped by separatists in an English-speaking region in Cameroon. The students range in age from 11 to 17. The kidnappers said they would release them only after the goal of a new state is achieved. The separatists have vowed to destabilize regions in Cameroon as part of their strategy for a breakaway state. There have been kidnappings at other schools, but this latest is the largest number of people abducted. The separatists have also attacked civilians who don't support their cause, including teachers who were killed for disobeying orders to keep the schools closed. Here at home, an early morning fire at a public housing estate in Shengshui has left 4 people injured. A male tenant of the unit where the fire broke out remains in critical condition tonight. Investigators say the fire is suspicious, and sources say someone cut the unit's gas hose. More from Caleb Loon.
The aftermath of a suspicious fire at Tinping Estate in Shengshui. The blaze broke out in the 15th floor unit at around 5 a.m. It took firefighters around an hour to extinguish the blaze. Around 400 people were evacuated. This man, who also lives on the 15th floor of the building, said he was awakened by an explosion. He also noted that the fire alarm button was out of order and the alarm didn't go off on multiple floors. Meanwhile, this resident said he got out of his home after hearing a loud bang. He originally thought his home was burgled as his door was left open, probably due to the blast impact. Sources said a family of 3 lived in the flat where the fire broke out, and only a 37-year-old male tenant was inside the unit at the time. He escaped through a window and climbed down to the floor below, where he was rescued by his neighbors. He was later taken to Prince of Wales Hospital for treatment. 3 other men, aged from 68 to 86, felt unwell after inhaling smoke. They were sent to North District Hospital. Police officers and other government staff were on scene to conduct an investigation afterwards. Caleb Leung, TVB News.
And still ahead in our newscast. The government asked Guangdong to help tackle mega bridge tour groups that come to Hong Kong without following proper procedures. An executive of the subcontractor Fang Sheng testifies in the Hong Kong Station construction scandal inquiry. And Christmas lighting in Tsim Sha Tsui East.
任何人都有機會嚟到呢個地方。我哋每年喺類似嘅地方進行超過5萬項手術。過去15年，安達確保所有事情都穩妥地進行，每次都可以精準無誤。今時今日，我哋嘅醫院擁有國內數一數二嘅病人安全記錄。現在我哋興建緊新大樓，佢象徵住偏亡嘅未來，而安達亦相伴左右，為我哋嘅興建計劃承保。每年有200萬名病人依賴我哋嘅照顧，而我哋就依靠安達提供嘅保障。
Welcome back to TVB News. The government has asked Guangdong authorities to help tackle the problem of tour groups streaming into the city via the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge without following the proper procedures. Haley Zhou has more.
The number of travelers passing through the local checkpoint on the Mega Bridge hit 100,000 last Sunday. However, the local travel industry noted there were no local agents in sight to receive some of the tour groups, nor have they registered with the Travel Industry Council. This morning, Acting Chief Executive Teresa Chang said the authorities are concerned about this and will tackle the tours that are suspected to have failed to follow the proper procedures. Under current laws, local travel agencies must register the names and contact details of any incoming mainland tour groups with the Travel Industry Council, and these agencies must also hold a travel agent's license. The Council's executive director added actions have been taken.
The Hong Kong government has asked the mainland authorities to remind the travel agents in the mainland of these requirements. The Guangdong government is supportive of this, and so they will be communicating to the travel agents.
Meanwhile, Ongping 360, which mainly operates Asia's longest bi-cable ropeway, released some encouraging figures. The number of mainland tourists visiting the spot over a 12-day period ending November 4th doubled year-on-year thanks to the bridge. Now the service provider is stepping up control measures.
We have allocated a quota booking system for the group and for the on-site ticket purchase in order to avoid the group to come to our scenic spot at the same time. So when guests redeem their cable car ticket on site, we can arrange diversions according to the actual situation.
She added that Ongping 360 would only work in collaboration with licensed travel agents in Hong Kong. Haley Zhou, TVB News.
Another subcontractor stepped into the independent inquiry over the scandal-plagued Hong Kong Station. It revealed that Leighton's original designs for one of the walls was entirely different to the one Fang Sheng received when it won the tender. Pinky Wong has more.
It was the turn of subcontractor Fang Sheng to testify in the ongoing probe into the construction work at Hong Kong Station. The firm's sole proprietor, Poon Wai Shan, said he had stopped working for main builder Leighton back in 2014. They were responsible for bar bending and fixing works at the station. Leading counsel for the commission, Ian Pennicott, asked Poon about the design changes of the tool walls at the station. Poon said he was shocked to find that the design of the west wall was entirely different to the original blueprint after his firm was awarded the tender, but he claimed the overhauled design was much stronger. Poon was then asked if he was aware of the damaged couplers. That's when he revealed that his company received a warning letter from Leighton in 2015. The letter said the threads of 5 bars were found to have been cut and improperly screwed into couplers on a diaphragm wall. When asked when the matter was brought to his attention, Poon said he didn't pay much attention as it was just a minor issue and the matter was fixed immediately. Poon also didn't see the warning letter until an interview with MTRC in June this year. The chairman of the commission, Michael Hartman, then asked if Poon's worker would take shortcuts and cut the thread from pressure of work. Poon replied absolutely no. He said he instructed all workers not to put up any excuses to cut the threaded rebar and would punish or even sack them if they become subject of complaints again. Apart from displaying evidence of design drawings and photographs of the station, an audio recording of an MTRC's interview with the subcontractor's foreman was played during the cross-examination process. Pinky Wong, TVB News.
Chim Sa Choi East is now adorned with festive lights, marking the beginning of the holiday season. Secretary for the Environment Wong Kam Singh officiated at tonight's Switching On ceremony. Colorful lighting displays can be seen along Victoria Harbor on the walls of buildings at the promenade. The theme will change in January, ahead of the Lunar New Year celebrations. And from all of us, thanks for joining us.
Bye for now.